Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the OCVarsity Gridiron Show Championship Edition. I'm Dan Albano with the OC Register, joined by my colleague, my partner, Steve Fryer, and we both, on behalf of Steve, wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving and happy championship week. Got three Orange County games coming up on Friday. Steve, Division 1, Division 3, and Division 11 between Mater Dei, Edison, and Portola. So I think it's pretty nice representation for Orange County. Obviously, the Division 1, premier conference, playoff grouping in the country, Edison, and then Portola. Edison traditional OC program along with Mater Dei, and then
Yeah.
up and coming Portola. What do you think about this trio? I think it's a pretty attractive trio. I think we have some great storylines to talk about.
Yeah, gosh, Portola, Peter Abe's group. We'll be talking about a linebacker over there who I will be bringing up in our All Orange County meeting. So who I think pretty highly, but linebackers so deep as again this year. But I'm going to be putting this guy out there anyway. And then, Edison, gosh, they lose their last two games of the regular season, the Alpha League games, two really good teams, Mission and San Clemente. And then, of course, for the first time ever, we have St. John Bosco playing Mater Dei in a championship game. So that is historic. I know everybody's been waiting to see a Bosco Mater Dei Division I final. You've got it now. Fine.
How about that? Fine. Yeah, So lots to discuss. There is some unfortunate and controversial news out of Edison that we will cover. That has been breaking the last couple of days, and really since last Friday with the situation with Julius Gillick, and we'll have some reaction and comments on that. But let's start in Division 11. This is going to be Friday night at Portola High School. Bulldogs, the pedigree as they talk about it. They're going to be in the finals for the first time, hosting El Rancho. So El Rancho is 9-4. I believe they're the Dons, and they are out of the very tough Del Rio League as an at-large berth, and they're taking on Portola 7-6 out of the Omnicrom League, and they were the runner-up to Pacifica. They lost their league, showdown against the Mariners, kind of decisively, but have bounced back, knocked off the number one seed Don Lugo in the first round, and have been on a roll since. The story with Portola for me is they played a very good non-league schedule, with teams like Long Beach, Wilson. They played Northwood. The list goes on of good quality teams that they played. They played up, and I don't think they won't see. I don't think El Rancho is off the charts for them as far as an opponent. I did see El Rancho in the second round against Los Amigos. They handed the Lobos their first loss.
Yeah.
They're an up-tempo team. They got some very good athletes at quarterback and receiver, special teams. They get after it, but their tempo is very impressive. Coach Medrano is doing a really good job. Quarterback Ryan Dominguez, Andrew Guerrero. So they got some playmakers and some speed, and then they can get physical too out of that spread offense. So I think I talked to Peter Abe, asked him about have you seen a passing team like El Rancho, and he said we've seen it all this year really. They feel prepared. Who do you got in this one, Steve?
Well, if you've played 14 games, or you're going to your 14th game, you probably have seen it all. Yeah. Well, here's the thing about Portola, right? Okay, and you talk about the non-league schedule, and they lost to Northwood 20-9, but they were kind of in that game in the fourth quarter, as I recall. And Northwood, talk about a tough group of dudes. Yeah, that's it right there. So Portola's played, like you say, everybody. All right. So Portola's got a real quarterback, Nash Looper, doing a really good job. But the story for them is their defense. The linebacker I was mentioning earlier, Max Mapstone, man, game after game, 11 tackles, 12 tackles, whatever, right? Keep looking at that guy, and that defense has done quite well. But I think, and speaking of what you just spoke about, the El Rancho team speed on the offense. Pretty explosive stuff over there. I'm going to go with the El Rancho guys in this game. As you said, they are a large team, but they come out a really good league, the Del Rio League. Good battle tested team. So it would be so fun to see Portola Bulldogs do it. Peter I'll be such a great guy.
Yeah.
And it would be cool. But logically, I'm going with El Rancho, sir.
Okay. I am going with Portola. I
Yes.
think that, based on, being at home and that non-league schedule, you like I mentioned Long Beach Wilson, that's a team that, is, won 9 games. I didn't mention Beckman, it was really good.
Yep.
Irvine, really good. Northwood, Cerritos won 8 games. That's all the teams you play. You look at the Cal Preps ranking for Portola and El Rancho. Cal Preps has got El Rancho as with a rating of 0, which is not
My rate.
people might think, oh, that's bad, but
No.
we're talking about Division 11. um, like for example, Portola beat Baldwin Park in the semifinals. That was a negative 5.3. So, but the best team, like Northwood, you talked about, Northwood was a 17.8. They were Division 6. So basically, they played up the whole entire year. Division 6 teams, a couple Division 8, Division 9. I think they can do it. They're physical. One guy I saw at the banquet, a couple guys, I sat at the Portola banquet, the media luncheon on Monday. One guy, you mentioned the linebacker, who I did see there, Maxwell, but they have a running back linebacker who all plays with Maxwell, Timothy Grettenberg. This
Yeah.
guy is 6'2", 230, Steve.
I
Running
took a look
back.
at.
He's got some
Yeah.
wheels.
Yeah.
He's got so they're going to try to, Portola, I think they can succeed in running the ball, keeping that high-powered El Rancho team off the offense off the field. They're going to hit it with Grettenberg. Diego Reyna as well as another tough running back who also plays linebacker. I like the hunger that I heard from the quarterback, Nash Looper, first-year
Yeah.
starter, senior, paid his dues. Um, Glad he's rolling with the Bulldogs, and I don't know. I think Portola's on too big of a run. They're going to
Good.
get this win, Division One champs, and that non-league schedule pays off, which I think happens a lot in the playoffs. All right, let's move to Division 3, Steve. And obviously, the big story out of this final is what's been breaking this week, ever since Friday. So you got the star running back from Edison, Julius Gillick, senior,
Right.
2,000-yard rusher. He's the career leader. He's had just a dynamite 2 years with Edison since he transferred from the state of Washington. Guys, 6 foot 205, committed to Montana, runs really hard and physical. Um, but he picked up 2 unsportsmanlike penalties in the semifinal win against Vista Marietta, and he is not eligible to play. He's suspended 1 game, which is going to be this game. Unfortunately, the D3 final Friday at Huntington Beach High School against Simi Valley. That's
Yeah.
a really good Simi Valley team. But let's start with just the Gillick situation, but it's because it's been, Edison appealed it to the White Cap, the White Hat, who was which is basically why when I say White Cap, that's they appealed it to the officiating crew from that game in the semifinals to rescind at least one of those unsportsmanlike penalties. So the young man who picked up 2 would be eligible to play, because if you get 2 unsportsmanlike penalties in 1 game, that's what happens. You get suspended for the next game.
Right.
So Edison unsuccessfully appealed. Coach, the Rich Boyce, the athletic director, they didn't think it was that egregious. They were hoping to get an appeal because there was he slightly spun the ball after a touchdown, then apparently handed the ball to the referee. And then the other infraction was coming off onto the field without a helmet on after a long run by his teammate. Sounds like some exuberance. So a lot of people fans have voiced their opinions about this being unjust, and it was unfair for too harsh of a penalty. And that's, I think, So it's been a tough situation. I can't really, I mean, you and I have both been around so long, Steve. I can't ever remember in a CIF championship game for football that you've had a star player that hasn't played in the final because of two unsportsmanlike penalties in a semifinal. I mean, can you ever remember a situation like this, and what's your reaction to it?
No, but my memory's not getting better as I gotten older, Dan. So maybe it has happened, but it's a bummer of a situation now. So the white hat you're talking about, he's the referee, he's the head of the officiating crew. You can't appeal that to the CIF Southern section, and you can't have the CIF Southern section over, overrule a
Yeah.
referee decision, because then the referees are going to have they got no foundation. You can't have the CIF second guess them, overlooking them, changing refs calls, changing refs decisions all the time. That's not a good situation for the official associations, for anybody. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. So, and it's also in the CIF Constitution. This is how it's laid out. If you're going to appeal to unsportsmanlike penalties that kick you out of the game and thus make you ineligible for the next game, these are all in the rule books. And what Gillick did was, it's a judgment call, but there is something in the book that says these things you do, they can be interpreted as unsportsmanlike behavior. And so these two things get you kicked out. Sometimes a ref will give a dude a warning. Okay. Sometimes ref's going to throw the flag. I saw Darius Dixon in the Centennial game make an interception, return it. He high step pranced it into the end zone the last 4 or 5 strides, and they didn't throw a flag, which I thought was fine. Don't throw the flag on that. But I was kind of going, oh man, he might get a flag for that, because sometimes refs will flag that. Sometimes they won't flag that. Early in the season, guys were wearing the pants above the kneecap, getting tossed off the field. During these playoffs, I've seen guys wearing the shorts. Basically, that's what they are. Nothing, right? So it's judgmental. It's judgment of whatever the crew is. And you have different associations out there: South Bay, Foothill Citrus, Orange County, Inland Empire. They all do things differently. They all ref games differently. It's really interesting, but that's how it is. So if I'm refereeing that game, do I throw the flag on that, or say, "Hey kid, cool it"? Maybe that's what I do. Or maybe I throw the flag. Go, man. Rules. I gotta hold the line. Okay. It's up to those refs. It's a tough situation. I'm sure the guy who threw the flag and the white hat, the ref, those guys feel bad. This is not something they wanted to do. They're not getting their jollies off of this.
Yeah, the part of it too is just
That's a rough one.
The gray area. Like you mentioned, these playoff games are done by neutral crews, neutral refereeing crews, which is different than in non-league. But as for some perspective, just 2 years ago, I was at this game, so I was able to follow this case pretty good. It was a non-league game. Los Alamitos, the home team at Westminster High School, playing host to Basha of Arizona. I took in this game because I wanted to see Makai Lemon and Malachi Nelson play a really good team from out of state. So showed up there and want to see these big college guys commits play for the Griffins. And in that game, Makai Lemon picked up 2 unsportsmanlikes real early in that game and was ejected.
Yeah.
And I followed that story, and what turned out
and
is
you wrote you mentioned
I wrote about it.
Yeah,
I was there, followed it through, and turned out that the OC officials that were association that was on that game, they rescinded those personal fouls against Lemon, and he played the next week against Servite. In another, Los Al was really good. Servite, good. That was, we were following those teams. So it just shows some of the inconsistency that, that officials can have the discretion to rescind. That didn't happen for Julius Gillick. There's different associations involved. Even it was reported by our colleague, from the LA Times, Eric Sondheimer, that Narbonne, in the city section, they had a couple of guys that we're in a similar situation as Gillick in the semifinals, and they got theirs rescinded. And so, I know it's got to be frustrating for Edison where, they hear some of these stories and, you know, they'd love to get their guy to get rescinded. It doesn't look like that's happened. It seems like Edison has, definitely appealed. They've talked to the official. I think it sounds like they've been in communication with CIF. They have very experienced coaches and athletic directors. This is Division III, and this is a standout player. I can't remember it happening like this before. And
Yeah, neither.
so the question is, now moving on to the game, of course, you feel for the young man, and he even, Julius even admitted that, after the game that he needed to work on his discipline. Seems like
Yes.
seems like he got the message. Um, and So you wonder, he is an out of state guy. He's only been here for 2 years. So there could be some unfamiliarity too for Julius with the southern section and some of the stuff that goes on. And the last thing I'll say, Steve, before I leave this subject is just that what these kids see on TV from their pro football heroes. They
Yeah.
see Amon-Ra St. Brown from Modern Day High School and starring with All Pro with the Lions. They see him do the headstand. And then a few weeks later, last week at Orange Lutheran, um, Steve Chavez scored a touchdown for Orange Lutheran. He did the headstand from Amon-Ra with he had that viral moment. So these kids see the spinning of the football by all the pros and the
Yeah.
college guys, and so it's they're impressionable. They're young people. That's what happens there to the young people. So I do feel for them. But going to the D3 game, I mean, the Simi Valley is a defending Division 6 champion. Edison's playing great defense. I know you wrote about that. They are coached up so well at Edison. They have like four or five former head coaches on their coaching staff under Coach Grady. So they're loaded up with you have Dave White, who's top 10 all-time coach in Orange County history. He's on the staff. You got Troy Thomas, who's been one of the most successful coaches at Servite. I mean, Troy's the guy who, beat Modern Day. He's won CIF titles at the highest level, state titles. Um, you know, Dave White used to compete in the same season. He was the one guy that would play Modern Day and Servite every year. Dave White, um,
Right.
and they would be going to D1 finals and battling Trinity League teams. And then the list goes on as far as other coaches on that staff. They got that great defense. They're at home at Huntington Beach High School. No Gillick. Can Edison, with that defense, somehow win against Simi Valley? That's a one-loss team and took out La Habra. And they've been taking out a lot of OC teams in recent years. Last year they beat Crean Lutheran in the playoffs as well.
Right. Well, I just got done writing about Simi Valley. They're 12-1. Their only loss is Pacific of Oxnard, which is a Division 6 finalist, and I think it was 28 or 26-0. But good team, and they got a coach, Jim Benkert, who's number 9 all time in CIF state history, 314 career wins,
Yeah.
and a lot of guys coached at Oaks Christian, coached at Westlake, and when he was coaching at Westlake, he had a defensive coordinator named Troy Thomas. Early on, before Troy Thomas got the head coaching job at Troy's alma mater, Crespi, and then Troy starts winning titles left and right, and the rest goes on. So, but I think Simi Valley, I think Edison, sophomore quarterback Sam Thompson, who's done quite well, pretty good runner too.
Yeah.
They got to figure out a way to get rushing yards against Simi. Who they're going to throw back there, I don't know. I'm sure you got your theories on what they're going to do with it. My concern for Edison is mustering up offense, getting into the end zone against Simi Valley. I don't think Edison's going to be able to do that often enough to beat Simi Valley. So I got Simi Valley winning this football game. Low scoring game, 14-10, 21-14, something like that.
Okay. Around the fields, the practice fields at Edison High School, they have these new like sports tarps that you can't see in because it shows the Edison Chargers colors and logos. One of those,
Yeah.
win
Yep.
kind of things, but it's kind of decorative as well. But I do wonder what's going on behind those borders, the fences there. Because I haven't, I think Edison's got to figure out, are they moving some linebackers, getting them some touches?
They,
Is Jacob Martin and Jake Minter their best
yeah,
athletes at receivers and
yeah,
DBs? Are those
yeah,
guys going to be getting some looks at
yeah,
um, running back? Special teams will be huge, but I also got to think that Edison has got to be so upset. They've got to be so mad that this has happened to them. They
right,
played so well at Vista Marietta. They don't
yeah.
have their guy. They have such a powerhouse coaching staff. You know,
Bunch of
which
old
is
on that thing.
yeah. I mean, who was Bruce Rawlinson's buddy all those years that he wanted so badly? He wanted Dave White.
Yeah,
Um, So I'm gonna have Edison winning this game like 7-3 or 10-6, ten
right.
seven. I'm gonna pick. I don't know. I picked against him last week when I thought Gillick was out with a knee injury, and I looking at that high powered Vista Marietta offense. But I don't know. And the other thing with Coach Troy Thomas as well. You
Yeah,
know, there's times at Servite they struggle with some offense. They
yeah,
always could seem to play great defense, but
mhm,
there's some times that the Friars didn't have the best feel, or they didn't really want to wing it out sometimes, and so I don't know I had Edison finding a way to win. Coach Grady, very experienced, good
yeah.
offensive coordinator. He talks about the collaborative effort. So all right, let's move to
Yeah.
D1.
By the way, never, ever, ever doubt what Edison can do. Never, never. I've seen it for 30 whatever years.
Yeah,
Games you don't think they're going to win, they do it. There's such a pride of program in Edison.
yeah,
It's a I don't know how they do it. Schools come and go, you know, and but Edison, Mission Viejo, not too many public schools are there year after year after year. Bailey's doing it down at Jeff Bailey's doing it down at Yorba, right?
yeah.
Frank Mazzotta over at La Habra, right? There's a few of them, only a few of them, year after year after year after year. And look, here's Edison at the championship game.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, 10th time,
Yeah.
first time I think was in the
Three
1970s.
finals, six
They
and
were the
three.
team of the 80s in Orange County. I know we're dating ourselves here. And
Yeah.
then obviously the revival later on with Coach White breaking through with a couple
Yep.
CI titles, and here they are with Coach Grady. All right,
Yep.
D1 final, Steve. Veteran Stadium on Friday, 7
Who's playing?
o'clock. St. John Bosco, Mater Dei, Monarchs, 11-0, number one in the country, taking on Bosco, 11-1, number seven in the country,
Ah,
formerly number two. Hey, important spectator. Yes, important spectator info. This game will be live on FanDuel TV, FanDuel Sports Network. That's your Angels, new Angel broadcast, home there of with the your Halo, Steve. But this important fan note is that if you're going to this game on Friday at Veteran Stadium in Long Beach, you have to have prepaid parking. Read our story, our preview on OCVarsity, and learn more about that. You'll also see a note about it on GoFan. So that's a big twist at this game. You need to have prepaid parking. That's what you have to do. There's no cash going to be accepted at the game for parking, and they should get a good crowd at Veteran Stadium. So, but the big thing for this game, which is kind of hanging over, I think, is just how much Mater Dei dominated St. John Bosco, its rival in the Trinity League. It was around October 25th, and it was just a blowout city at Santa Ana Stadium that we've never seen in this rivalry. It was Monarchs scoring 59 points, 45 nothing at halftime, running clock in the fourth quarter. It was unheard of, but maybe looking back at it, it was Mater Dei's got a special defense. They're very disciplined. They're forcing all these turnovers with that fast, aggressive group that you just saw last week, Steve. Bosco starting a freshman quarterback in Koa. A lot of the Bosco's top players are like freshmen, sophomore, juniors. Coach Negro is, they're a year away, but And it's a credit to the coaching of Jason Negro. I think has done a great job getting the Braves this far. They've won a lot of close games. But speaking of great coaching, Coach Laura has just got Mater Dei dialed in, plus 23 for the season on turnover ratio. They're forcing turnovers, not giving it up. Laura is, giving them such a good message. Seems like Mater Dei is responding. Who do you got in this one? And is it a competitive game, Steve?
Again, I use the word inevitable when I talk about modern day football. Inevitable. Yeah. If they're interested, if the players engaged and interested, modern day is going to win this football game. Now, Raul Laura, great big game coach. Jason Negro, great big game coach. I think Negro's done his best coaching job he's ever done, and that's saying something because that dude can assemble a game plan and make it go. We've seen it year after, gosh darn, you're back to Trabuco Hills coaching days as well. But modern day's just got too many great guys in every darn position, just all over the place. If they're engaged, interested, they're going to go. They were engaged and interested early on in that game, and they beat Bosco, and you and I were at. And I think Jason Negro said it was an avalanche early. All of a sudden, they just couldn't push that snow coming down that giant hill. So yeah, I think and interesting thing. We're at you and I were both you weren't at the game, Centennial Mater Dei game out in Corona. Dash Byerly end around, got hit, spun, bashed up his hip pretty good. We saw him at the luncheon on Monday. He was moving around just fine. Just walking, of course, but he's moving around fine. Looked good. Not a hint of any sort of limp. He said he was good to go. Felt good. They didn't have to put him in the second half, which is fine.
Yeah.
Can't go. If Ferreira, the sophomore, looks fine. He can play. If he's got a week of reps, he'll be good to go. Jordan Davison, if he's healthy and good to go, number 0, the running back with the fire hydrant thighs, who can run with speed. Power dudes, carry 3 guys for another 3 or 4 yards. The receivers, the linebackers with Abdul Sanders, Nasir Wyatt, Darius Dixon back there in the backfield. Our guy Semito Nuga in the D line. My golly, I could just go on and on about this. But Mater Dei should have this in the bag, unless they're not interested. Something they freak out a little bit, turnovers, but man, inevitable.
Yeah, I got Mater Dei winning as well. And that's the pick. They 59. I don't know if it's going to be 59-14 like it was October 25th. I think Bosco's improved its ground attack. They shouldn't be so shell shocked. They need to settle in and get some confidence. But I think even if Mater Dei starts a little slow, Bosco starts a little hot. As this game wears on, even if it's close at halftime, there at some point Mater Dei is gonna get on, make some big time plays, get on a roll, and they're gonna win decisively. Mm-hmm. And then 2 weeks from now, they'll be playing De-La-Salle for the state championship. The Monarchs looking to defend that state title as well. That game will be down at Saddleback College, probably around December 14th. That's what I think's next. De La Salle's already won its championship. Their open title. They have a short playoff. The Spartans are 12-0. They won a close one in their final, so they're going to be off quite a bit, which is probably not great. But that's what I think is going to happen. And so we disagree, Steve, on 2 of the 3 finals, which is kind of shows you there's certainly some excitement and some things to watch.
Yeah.
But obviously you got Mater Dei Bosco is a storied national rivalry, and then we disagree on Edison-Simi Valley. We disagree on Portola, El Rancho. So looking forward to seeing you on Friday when we surface from the Thanksgiving break holiday. When I see you at Veterans Stadium,
Mountain Vets, as our friend Ken Bickel calls it. Bick calls it Mountain Vets because it's a long walk up there. Especially only Chris Ricks can sprint up there. Yes. But you got your backpack on with your laptop and your paperwork and everything else in there, right? You're coming up, and man, it's a long haul. If I'm going up and you're sitting in the aisle and you want to stop and say hello to me and chat for a little bit, Please do.
Yes. But that is
I'll talk as long as you want.
at the top of that mountain is a great view of the field
It is.
and the greater Long Beach area. Always a fan of that. And then you got that's where the pregame meal is as well. Sports writers, it's a requirement that we are there participating in that. So, and then of course we got a great game. So
They're going
well
to
worth it.
Raising Cane's.
Okay.
That's the sponsor.
The key word is free. So,
yeah. Free it's for me, as my brother Mike says.
That's right. So for Steve Fryer, I'm Dan Albano. Thanks for following us here on the OC Gridiron Show. And once again, happy Thanksgiving to everybody, you and yours. And give thanks for football family. And we'll see you on Friday.
Thanks, everybody.